We're going to talk about 5 more mistakes that new modelers make whenever they're starting out their model railroad. So let's get started with this right now. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. And when you're starting out building your model railroad, you want to avoid all the mistakes that all us other modelers have made throughout the years. Now, just a few weeks ago, I gave you 10 common mistakes that model railroaders make, and today I'm going to give you 5 more that most modelers make. And the reason I'm going to tell you this is so you don't have to go through all the agony of redoing your model railroad because of these mistakes. Now, that's why I do these videos in the first place, to help you out with your model railroad. And if you would like to see more of these, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ding that bell so you could be notified whenever I have some more videos coming out. So let's get started with this right now with 5 more common mistakes that model railroaders make when they're starting out. In my last video, I told you that you're going to need patience, knowledge, commitment, and time. And I had some comments about money too, but money's not the real big objects in it. The most common things that you're going to need is the patience, knowledge, commitment, and time in your model railroad. So I'm going to start out with number 1 here. And number 1 is wiring. I've done a lot of videos on wiring, and you should take a look at it. I'll put a link up here for the wiring projects on my railroad, and you could find out what you need to know about wiring. But that's where a lot of modelers make their biggest mistake, on not knowing how to wire their model railroad, whether it be DC or DCC. Now, DCC has a lot of improvements and advantages over DC, but there are still some of you that are doing DC, and I have a video. We did a collaboration with Mark from M&M Rails on that one. Go take a look at that video there, how to wire your DC model railroad with Atlas components. It's a very good video, and Mark does a great job of introducing you into wiring your DC layout. But anyway, even with DCC, you have to know what you're doing with the wiring on there. And if you take a look at some of my other videos on DCC wiring, you'll avoid these mistakes, this first mistake at least, on wiring your model railroad. You have to pay attention to it, and you have to know what you're doing with it before you get started, so you don't make that costly mistake of miswiring your railroad where you turn it on and nothing happens, or you turn it on and beep, beep, you get a short right away. If you have any questions about wiring, whether it be DC or DCC, leave a comment down below, or go on to my webpage and leave a question there in the comments section. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have on wiring or anything else about model railroading. Now, number 2, lack of maintenance. Just like an automobile, you got to do some maintenance on it. Now, on the newer automobiles, it's less maintenance. All you have to do is change the oil. But on your model railroad, you still have to do a lot of maintenance on there. And the biggest thing is cleaning your track. Nickel silver is the most common rail today, and it needs to be cleaned because it picks up a lot of garbage. It picks up oils, it picks up dirt, it picks up dust, it picks up every little thing on there, especially if you're running your trains on air, because you have the electromagnetic force between the wheels and the rails, and that makes it even easier for dust particles to go on those rails. So you have to keep those rails clean. And you could use Bright Boys, you could use Woodland Scenic's cleaning stick for that. You could use anything. You could use a track cleaning car, any method you use, but you got to use it. You got to keep it clean. And the other thing is the locomotives. They need to be lubricated and not over lubricated either. Now, each locomotive that you purchase, they'll have a little section on there about lubrication. Read it and heed it, because you're going to need it. Hey, that was pretty good. Read it and heed it, because you're going to need it. Yeah. Okay. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. So anyway, lubricate those locomotives, but don't over lubricate them, because if you over lubricate them, it's going to get down on the tracks, on your wheels and everything, and then you're going to have more problems. And not only with the locomotives, with the rolling stock also. Especially if you have the plastic wheels on there, it's going to get crud on the wheels, and you're going to have to keep on scraping that stuff off of there, so you won't have your rolling stock going down there looking like this. So, maintenance, lack of maintenance. You got to keep up the maintenance on your model railroad. Number 3, buying the wrong equipment. I know you're in a hurry to go out there and buy every component that you possibly think that you need, but be careful, because some brands, especially in DCC, some brands will not work with the other brands, even though they all work on the same standards put out by NMRA. If you buy, and I had a question from one of my viewers, they wanted to know how to program DS64 with their NCE throttle. And I said, you can't do it. You got to do it with a Digitrax throttle. So there are components that will be interchangeable with manufacturers, but there are other components that will not. So you have to be careful with what you purchase. Don't just go out there and purchase something because you say, oh, I think I need that. You're going to be running into problems if you do that. Make sure you understand what you're buying before you buy it as far as the electronics go, because not all components will work with other components if they're from different manufacturers. Now, I can't tell you all of them, that all the mismatches or anything like that, what they are. There are mismatches out there. So if you're going to work on, say, Digitrax, try to keep everything Digitrax. If you're going to do NCE, try to keep everything NCE. Try to keep everything, as far as DCC, in the same brand. And if you have to go out into different brands, ask questions before you do it. Ask if anybody has done it and if they had any problems doing it. You don't want to run into the problem of incompatibility between manufacturers, because that's going to get you in trouble and you're going to spend a lot of money for nothing. 4, lack of organization. Know where everything is and what you are going to do with it. I have totes and little boxes of stuff, and I got them all marked. And even though I have them all marked, I still have trouble finding them because I don't mark them enough. I don't put down every part. So if you have to, just take some painter's tape and masking tape on the boxes that you have and write everything down, what you have in there, the contents, or even if take a tablet and mark down everything on that that you have in a tote and tape that to the side of the tote so you could find it, so you know that you got all your parts in there for rock molds and plaster of Paris. And oh, do I have the cloth in there? Oh man, where did I put that? Write it down, make a list, put it on there. You don't want to be unorganized when you're doing your projects. You want to keep everything together and try to think about what you're going to use for a specific task and put all those pieces together, all those tools together. Now, sometimes you're going to run into situations where you're going to use some tools for one project and you're going to also use it on another project. On those things, you need to keep those things out separate in a separate spot where your most common tools and supplies that can be used on multiple projects, like files, like pliers, like screwdrivers, like saws, anything like that. You're going to be using that on different projects no matter what it is. Keep them separated and organized together so you could find them easily, because you don't want to be spending most of your time trying to look for stuff for hours on end just to get something done on your model railroad. So remember that. Be organized. That's most important. You got to keep everything organized and labeled so you know where you have it. Number 5, indecision. I don't know how many times modelers and even myself that I have done something and I ripped it out because I was undecided about what I was going to do with it. I couldn't make up my mind what I was going to do, and I've seen a lot of other modelers do the same thing, that they'll spend hours, weeks, months on doing track work and scenery, and then all of a sudden just pull it out and start over again because they weren't undecided about what they wanted to do. Whenever you do something on your model railroad, stick to it. Even though if it doesn't look good, stick to it anyway. Because that indecision is going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you effort. It's going to cost you everything that you have done, all that good work that you have done. Even if you do have that indecision, stick with it. Modify it. Make it work so it works for you, so you don't have to go back and do it all over again from scratch. And then once you get it done and start it over again, you're going to say, oh my God, why didn't I keep that there? That was good anyway. So indecision is a big thing that you have to avoid, because even though you think you're doing something wrong, it may not be wrong. It's going to be okay. You could use it somewhere on your layout. It's going to be placed somewhere on there. You could use it for parts or anything, but just because you have something and you're undecided about what you want to do with it, or you don't know where to go with it, keep it going. Get rid of that indecision about what you want to do. So there you go. That's 5 more mistakes that you can avoid just by listening to what I have to say. That's all you got to do. I had 10 before, and here's 5 more. Just pay attention, listen, try to avoid all those mistakes, and you're going to have a good time with your model railroad, with your hobby. So have fun with it. Like I said before, if you have any comments or questions about anything about the first 10 or this 5 mistakes, leave a comment down below in the comment sections, and I'll be glad to answer them. That's what I'm here for, to answer your questions. And if I don't have the answer for your question, I'll direct you in the right, or I'll point you in the right direction so you could find out what that answer is. And you could also, not only on the comment section, you could also email me, tomstrainsandthings@gmail.com, or go to tomstrainsandthings.com website, and you can leave a comment on there in the comment section of my webpage. So go check that out. And if you would like to contribute to Tom's Trains and Things, go ahead and check out my Patreon page. I have some patrons on there already who are contributing to my effort to help the model railroader, to help me make better videos for you so you could learn more about model railroading. That's what it's all about. That's what this channel is all about. That's what my webpage is all about. I'm here to help you build your model railroad and to build your skills. So if you'd like to contribute to my effort, all it takes is $1, and that'll get me going in providing you some better videos on teaching you more skills, better skills, and how to build your model railroad. So thank you very much, and we'll see you.